Okay, so well, welcome everybody. We are about to go live. This is Webbo here for the SRA Championship. This is the 12th season of the Sim Racing Academy Championship here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. We're here for the next race in our championship, and I believe it's race 5 of the championship. I think we've got 2 more after this one to go, and the standings as they sit at the moment: Alex Rosetta is on top in the Porsche 992 GT3. He's on 139 points with 3 podiums, 1 placing on each of the steps of the podium so far. Loris Mediri, his compatriot, is on 129 with a 7th, a 2nd and a 1st. Matteo Ferri is 3rd on 121 points, 2nd, a 3rd, and then a 7th position. Our first non-Italian is in 4th place, Moritz Danhausen. He's gone on 116 points, tied with Nicola Soro as well. Then comes Niall Bullion, Paul Burnett, Marvin Riesenhauer, Peter Willem, winner of the first race, who did not start last week, and Killian Sauer in 10th position. We're going for a quick sprint race, a 20-minute sprint race here around the Paul Ricard circuit to start proceedings off tonight. That will decide the grid, of course, for the feature race, which will be a 60-minute, slightly foreshortened 60-minute race. And we're under starters orders. We've got a standing start on its way, and we're about to get underway then for the race. Hope you're strapped in and ready to enjoy this one as the drivers just about to get their starters indicator. The race will tip down and they will start their warm-up lap, as it looks like it's Alex Rosetta from a shortened qualifying session got himself onto pole position from Peter Willem, trying to get some kind of a resurgence going in his championship after such a successful beginning. Nicola Soro then is in 3rd position with Lautaro, newcomer to at least to my mind, to my commentary, Lautaro. Where is he in the championship? He's down in 19th and managed to score only 41 points so far. So that's why he hasn't featured very strongly. But he's 4th place very early on then in this race proceedings, this session tonight. Next up, we have Ferry and Sauer with Mediri, Burnett, Lanevsky, Verweyen, Danhausen, Tempera, Martinelli, Parks, Mikhail, Mediri, Zafiratos and Chase. Your 18-car field today for to take on the Paul Ricard circuit. Of course, home now of the French Grand Prix. Looks like we're going to do without the Chicane du Nord here, so we're going to have a long Mistral straight between turn 7 and then turn 8, as it will be. The Sanya right-hander taken at very high speed at the far north of the circuit, before the long Duboutrak de Bossé to bring the car down to some kind of temperate speed. The drivers get themselves ready. Not a lot of tyre warming going on, you have to say. We'll see if they take on the Chicane du Nord. Are they going to take that on? It's difficult for me to see, but it does look like we've got a full straight Mistral straight then, from the Virage de la Saint-Baume on turn 7 all the way down to Sanya. Towards the second half of the circuit. Just riding with Lautaro here. He's in the lone BMW in the top 9. Verweyen, the only other BMW in the championship standings higher. And we've got just one Bentley in the field, one Lamborghini. That's Danhausen as usual. And then the rest of the grid split between Porsche, BMW, and of course Ferrari. You'll also see the drivers in yellow and black liveries. They are the Team Glitch and Team Glitch Academy drivers, and they have been racing in very close quarters and very successfully so far in our championship. And certainly round 2 was a bit of a Team Glitch demonstration run. So they're heading towards the Double Droite de Beausset before then the turn, what will there be now, turn 10 of Virage du Bendor, which is multiple line entry, ever increasing radius corner, and home of a number of attempts then, especially if an attempt hasn't quite made it stick through de Beausset, or you're still defending. You'll still see cars going into Bendor in very close quarters. Then we're into Cour de Galabas, which is just a gentle right-hander and a setup for the Virage de la Tour of the penultimate corner, which you'll also see a very dangerous and alarming pit entry lane as well there on the penultimate corner, before the cars turn almost back on themselves to get through the very, very slow Virage du Pont, and before starting once again to go down the start-finish line. Here we are then on board with Rosetta, who will lead us away from race 1 winner Willem, before we see and set up our grid then for the feature race. And remember, Peter Willem wanting to get himself some decent points today and move up in that championship, because by rights he really ought to be higher up after winning that first race. So we are green for our race. It is now a rolling starter course. Rosetta followed in a long line directly behind him by his Team Glitch teammates and academy members, and they're going 2 by 2 going on into the first couple of turns. It's actually Lautaro in the BMW who traded paint, I think, for a moment, and he's now side by side with, I think that's Sorrow, and he's got the inside line there. Yeah, so Sorrow has got himself ahead in his blue and yellow Ferrari, and the Team Glitch cars are kind of starting to trip over each other a little bit, as and the rearmost Team Glitch racer has half spun going into Ducamp before heading towards Saint-Bouin, and needing to try and get that momentum back, then building the speed up behind the Lamborghini of Danhausen. We will run here. This is Lanevski then, who's moved down to 12th position, and as they draw alongside him, there's a new car coming up the inside that's got the pink tail, pinky purple tail there. I think that might be Lanevski moving forward, because I haven't seen his car before, as they go into Sanya, and it's the Team Glitch of Ferry who manages to hold on, and there's the car exiting stage right. That's P. Burnett, who is right on the outside, touching the red chevrons on the outside of the circuit, and that is extra tyre degradation for him. It is a bit of a frantic start to this sprint race, as you would expect. The drivers really needing to maximise this to set themselves up as well as possible, but the risk versus reward, constant watchfulness needed, because if they stuff up the race and start at the back, it doesn't matter how many laps you run in the feature race, it's a long way to come back. It's Rosetta from Willem. Then I believe it's Lautaro, is it, in the BMW next. And then we've got Midiri and Sorrow. And then Willem's teammate of Sauer up into 6th position. Next up, Ferry. And then Danhausen's Lamborghini defending half from Verweyen in the BMW. And from Lanevski in that green and purple-pink Ferrari, running wide and maximising the lines through there. Next up, Midiri. We've got some great helicopter shots here at Paul Ricard, followed by Parks, and then a bit of a gap back to the rest of the field. Martinelli in the Beamer, followed by Zafaratos and Tempera, Chase Burnett and Mikhail. Your 18-car field at the moment, but Rosetta continues to lead this race out and in front, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty close run thing between himself and Willem as they go down the Mistral straight. Willem needs to be a little bit closer than this to maximise his chances of getting that slipstream. He's a little bit too far away at the moment to really take advantage. You see several attempts to get the steering correct going on into the Sanya corner. Now we're in the Double Droite de Beausset, and in fact Lautaro is closing up in the Skechers 46 liveried car 58 there, That's the cardinal sin of a racer, putting two numbers on your race card, but it is number kind of a 58 with the Valentino Rossi 46 colour scheme there, and it looks like a drive-through has been issued to Burnett. He was that is double pain for Burnett, because he was off in the red hatchings, and now he's going to have to serve a drive-through during the sprint. Very, very unfortunate for him. We've got Verwyen chasing on Danhausen as they look to have a look down the inside into the final corner. Virage du Pont and back across the line. 16 minutes to go in the sprint race, and the car's now starting to get comfortable on the racetrack and starting to extract a little bit more wherever possible. Lautaro has claimed the fastest lap so far in third position, and this is back on board with Willem, trying to see where he might be able to start distracting Rosetta and getting an idea for where he's strong. He was strong going in to turn 4 there for a moment, and it looked like he had a good strong entry speed. That will give him a great deal of motivation. It may be that Rosetta is a little slower into the corners, a little faster out, but if you can make that move on the brakes, you are in a good position to try and claim the apex. Here is then Willem, a lot closer than he's been the previous lap, it looks like, but it looks possibly like Rosetta has got a tiny top speed advantage at the moment, but now the slipstream starting to take effect on Willem's Ferrari. It's not going to be enough to make a pass this time, but the front two have definitely gapped themselves a little bit from Lautaro, who at the moment does have that fastest lap, but presumably not on the previous lap. This is then the close battle for 8th position, led by Danhausen, on board with Verwyen, and I think Lenevsky's not far away in the mirrors as well. We shall see as they go through the Double Droite de Beausset. Very different lines available, and it looks like Verwyen getting a little bit out of shape with understeer on the exit as they head into the Bendor corner. Verwyen much tighter to the apexes, and Danhausen just a little bit more relaxed possibly in the seat. Here the characteristic Assetto Corsa sound effects on off throttle and braking. It looks like Rosetta new fastest lap, so that was a really successful lap for him, and we just got a new one for another driver. Now Rosetta has been confirmed as claiming that fastest lap on the previous lap, and here is Lenevsky then keeping a watchful eye on the Verwyen Danhausen battle. We're on board with Lenevsky now as he tries to get as close as possible to those cones on the entry into turn 1 and 2 without tripping over them. Looking nice and smooth at the moment. The all-important corner is the exit of Virage du Camp and through Virage de la Sainte-Baume into turn 7, because that is the slingshot you need to get yourself onto the Mistral straight. That looked pretty good from both drivers. No big difference between the two of them. This is the battle for the lead then at the head of the field. This is Willem closing in, but not being not able to ignore the fact that Lautaro in the BMW is close behind. It looks like we've got a much better race here. 3 teams, 3 manufacturers in the top 3, and that was a little look down the inside. Was that Sauer getting past Soro? I think it might have been. So it looks like Sauer, Willem's teammate here in the Eiffel Racing colours of the black and white split livery, as Ferry tries to have a move down. Is that Ferry? It is Ferry. Tries to have a move down the inside. So it wasn't Sauer passing Soro, it was Ferry attempting a pass on Sauer, but being resisted at this point. So Rosetta still with the lead, but Ferry wanting to bring his car forward here. His glitch teammates are further forward in the field so far, with the exception perhaps of just Christian Mediri, who has been typically in the midfield so far. There he is in P12, just got Park's BMW in front of him. Now down to start the next lap then. 12 minutes remain of the sprint race, so no pit stop during the sprint race, but they will have a pit stop, a mandatory pit stop in the feature race. Remember, they can choose to whether to change tyres or not, but if they do, it will be an additional 5 seconds on top of the 25-second minimum pit stop time, minimum stationary time, I should say, for their race. This is Ferry then in focus with Danhausen behind him. Looks like Danhausen has actually got himself ahead, has he? I think he may have done. The tower typically takes a few seconds to catch up. And this is Sorrow then in P5. Having a look at his teammate Madiri. And getting through on the entry into Sanya. But a little bit of overspeed on the exit. Sorrow getting through very nicely. It is still Rosetta, Willem and Lautaro. But this close battle here between glitched teammates. One of whom has the headlights shining brightly. Nicolo Sorrow has secured 4th right now. And this then your battle for the lead. It is still Willem in the middle of Rosetta ahead and Lautaro behind and closing in, especially under braking then into the final 2 corners. Looking for a nice smooth exit here. Very classic racing line there from Willem as Rosetta looked a little bit more of a V-shape through the corner. This is Eiffel Racing colours of Peter Willem. And down into turn 1 and turn 2 now. Visibly closer than he has been so far. And just looking for the best opportunity to secure pole position for the feature race. He's very strong on the brakes here. But he needs to be strong on the exit of the next right-hander. Turn 6 into Sandburn. So Rosetta getting a good exit once again. And Willem now having to be very, very patient on the long run down the Mistral straight. And we've got Get In There Temp, who is in the live chat. Welcome to you, and you're writing a lot in Italian, some of which I can translate, but it's not my first, second, third, or fourth language is Italian. I can speak Ferrari Team Radio Italian, but getting closer in then for the Ferrari is Willem. Very, very close then through the Double Jockey Bursa corner and into Bendor, and this is really getting very tight now. The podium battle here for the sprint race, and of course the all-important starting position for the feature race. However, they are earning half points here for the sprint as well, so certainly by no means is it worth throwing away a good result. Willem, some distance from the apex, should help Lautaro get himself a good drive away, but Willem is so close to Rosetta now. I will not be surprised to see an attempt happen in the next time into Sanya if you can just keep this first sector of the circuit nice and clean, and just be patient here. Got a best seat in the house for this battle in front on board Lautaro, who will have a bit of a job just to not get distracted by this and make sure he's driving his own racing lines and his best performance possible. Optimum track conditions today. It's a 10 degree ambient, 30 degree 22 degree ambient, 27 degree track temperature, and just a 2 kilometer wind speed to the south east. Consistent conditions as well for racing throughout this sprint race. As you can see, Willem getting sucked along all the way down the Mistral straight towards Sanya. He's just that top speed of Rosetta's Porsche is slightly too strong. Going through Sanya nicely, getting a little bit wide though, staying to the correct side of track limits, and then looking for a really, really good tight apex. But it's not going to help him, as Rosetta knew that Willem wasn't close enough to have a go. Rosetta having a problem then coming out of Bendor corner through the Galabat, and then a little look to the inside then from Willem as Rosetta closes the door. It's not a very long braking zone going into the Virage de la Tour penultimate corner. Through DuPont they go, and it's 6 2/3 minutes to go in the race, as the top 5 now are starting to condense. Rosetta is slowing, and Willem and Lautaro are unable to make the pass at the moment, which the net effect of which is the podium runners are getting falling behind and getting closer and closer to plate P4 and 5, Sorrow and Mediri, which will really suit Rosetta if he can get his teammates up into those podium positions as well. So either deliberately or accidentally backing the podium sitters into his teammates here is Rosetta. I don't imagine it's a conscious decision of a tactic. We see a 5-second penalty for Tempera, 13th at the moment, but our eyes are naturally focused on the Eiffel Racing and Glitch Racing colours here of the top 5. Getting on the long Mistral straight once again, with the gap too big here for Willem. I don't know if Willem is thinking that this is close enough, but Sorrow and Mediri coming close again once again. That's Sorrow in 4th. Mediri, we ride on board inside the bonnet of the of the Porsche. He got super close there. We saw Sorrow overtake Mediri earlier. This is Loris Mediri, not his I think his relation Christian in P11. Fastest lap still with Rosetta, but that was back in lap 3 or 4, I think. They certainly haven't been going at those kind of speeds for some time now. So down to the final quarter of this sprint race. And then getting a good drive out of the DuPont corner to start the next lap. Looking to put the pressure on here, but not too much pressure for his teammate. Now looks like Lautaro getting closer to Willem this time than Willem is to Rosetta. You can see the mountains in the background, but this is a very, very flat circuit here at Paul Ricard, subject to those famous Mistral winds. It's so tempting to get on the power a tiny bit early through these corners, but it really does reward your patient drivers who know the circuit incredibly well. Now we should see the power of the slipstream. This has got to be only 0.2 of a second between Sorrow and Mediri. Here we go to the inside, and it should be fairly amicable between these two. It was before. Drawing alongside, drawing ahead slightly, and on the correct side for the Sanya corner. Just stay left of those bollards and you're safe for track limits. And it's Mediri back in front then of Sorrow. Team Glitch teammates, but they need to be slipstreaming each other forward if they can, rather than just squabbling over 4th. They could potentially get themselves into the top 3. Looks like Willem's attack has faded a little bit, whether he's biding his time for the final couple of laps, or whether the strength of his challenge has dipped slightly. Time will tell. Just heading down the field to have a look at where everybody sits. This is Zafiratos in 14th position at the moment, and Lupuka Mihai in the Ferrari team colours down in 15th place. Lenevsky has faded down to 16th, unfortunately. You'll see Lenevsky, and then Paul Burnett is down at the tail of the field in 17th at the moment. We've lost one driver, unfortunately, but back to the front, as Rosetta has seemingly been able to pick up some speed now. 2.5 minutes just under to go before we get the last lap instruction. And then on board with Matteo Lautaro for his WRT team. Monster Energy and Valentino Rossi Kurski, and then back with Loris Mediri, who's ahead for now of Nicola Sorrow. Have a look if Sorrow is going to appear on our right. No, he's not quite close enough, is he, at this point? Bit of lifting and coasting going on the way into Sanya. And keeping a tighter line to the apex. But a late move, is it? No. Getting very crossed up there from Sorrow. Losing the rear end. And the car not doing quite what he told it to do. He saved the slide very nicely. Nice to get a bit of counter steer going on into the Debose corners. But it's the tail end of this lap. I don't know if they're suffering too much in the way of tyre deck. And the rears are dropping off. But we're getting down to the final minute of action before the stopwatch is reset. And it's going to cross the line then to start what I believe will be the final lap for Rosetta. And our messenger getting their temp says Mattia Lautaro is the best driver of the grid. Okay, it's currently driving third at the moment. And he is rated as a rookie right now with 1869, his current rating. Compare that to Loris Mediri's 3066 rating. And Moritz Damhausen, who has a 3395 rating at the moment on his intermediate level. We are on board then with Sorrow. Looking for that move. Looks like the drivers have kind of sorted out the podium positions at the moment. This could be a move, but it would be a late one. Sorrow didn't have a great deal of confidence in the car going into Debose the last time round. And we have a stopped clock, so it is the final lap. Look around the outside, and again the rear end of the car just not doing what he's telling the front to do. The rear end just wouldn't follow, and suffering a great deal of oversteer there is Sorrow, and again struggling to rescue the car. Does this indicate perhaps that he will be looking to change tyres during our feature race? I wonder. But Rosetta is about to win the race. I think he's at the head of the field, and we're heading into the penultimate corner now. So it looks like he's going to secure half points here for the win, possibly the fastest lap at this point, and pole position for the feature race. Comes out of the final corner, and Alex Rosetta will win once again, but this time winning the sprint race in Paul Ricard from Peter Willem, and Lautaro in third position, securing that one. Next up is Mediri with Sorrow, his teammate, behind. Suffering that oversteer. Next is Ferry, another Team Glitch driver, and then we'll see another one of the Peter Williams teammates. That is Sauer in 7th, Danhausen in 8th in the Lamborghini. Then we see Verweyen, who stops just after the line, closely followed by Parks and Christian Mediri. And then we have, I think it's going to be Martinelli, Tempera, Zafiratos. Next up, Mikhail Lanevsky and Paul Burnett will finish the race, although it looks like Zafiros is coming into the pits and has come in early. I think he may have already crossed the line. But those are your results then for the sprint race. We'll have a short break while we get the grid organised for the feature race. 60-minute feature race coming up for you very shortly. And getting the temp is going to have to try and help me with some strength is reading Italian, unfortunately. So I'm glad that you're with us and interacting. Anyone else who's watching with us, do speak up. Don't let get in their temp dominate too much, and we'll be back for the race very soon for you. Don't forget to follow us on socials. I think it's at Sim Racing Academy. Sure. Okay, everyone, it looks like it's time for the formation lap of the feature race as Alex Rosetta gets the drivers away from what is a torrentially wet and terrible prospect of the next 30 minutes of the Paul Ricard. Check out the amount of spray coming off the back of the cars. As you would have seen, several drivers already exploring the limits of grip, going on the free practice session prior to this feature race that we were watching on stream without commentary at the time. But it is absolutely soaking wet out there at Paul Ricard, and on a billiard table smooth circuit like this, there's nowhere for the water to run. It's just going to go up in the air and back down again on the circuit. It's going to be incredibly difficult to balance how strong you want to push. But in 30 minutes time, we are forecast for the rain to stop and conditions to start at least to change. Here in the production team, we're not expecting those conditions to go fully dry for some time. But we will see the first half of this 60-minute race, of course, in these wet conditions. And it's going to be really interesting to see that for the first time, really a proper amount of rain. And you can see just how limited the driver's visibility is as we ride with Iljuska Lanevski here. And it's the critical centre of the track that you really need to be have full visibility. And that is the absolute worst. You can just see the track markings on either side of the track to gauge where you are, so you should be able to see your braking points, and already cars kind of overlapping, passing each other because they just can't see in front of themselves properly in order to get going. We know we've got some support here for the Italians. We know that Matteo Lazzaro is popular, but do we have anybody watching for any of the other drivers perhaps who might be cheering them on? But we're really glad to have everyone watching with us. Do speak up, ask questions if you like, and we can interrogate. We have live stewarding here during our race, so decisions will be enacted as we go through. We will try to get you replays of any contentious moments if possible, but for now we will pay very close attention to what is happening on the circuit as much as possible throughout the battles, but with a focus, of course, towards the front. Just to remind you then, prior to the sprint race, Rosetta led the championship, and I'm sure will have extended that lead to Loris Mediri and Matteo Ferri. Maurice Hansen in 4th, Sorrow in 5th, Bullion in 6th, followed by Burnett, Riesenhauer, and then Peter William, who was down in 9th but will have moved significantly further forward after scoring a 2nd in the sprint race and the 1st in the first race of the championship. This is round 4 of 6, and we're looking forward to seeing how this championship gets resolved. This 12th championship here for Sim Racing Academy. Just to mention our social links, that is at Sim Race Academy on Twitter and at WeberRed5 if you like the commentary tonight. And I'm hoping to be with you for this next couple of races to see out the championship as Rosetta is slowing the pack down through the Galaban corner. 2 more to go before he will get us back to racing action, and having confidently secured both the fastest lap and the race win, he will of course take his 2nd pole position of the race. 3:12 p.m. local time at Paul Ricard, so we should have daylight to the end of the race, all being well. But it'll be launching away here from a rolling start for this 60-minute race with 1 mandatory pit stop, and we will see when the green flag is flown, and Alex Rosetta should lead us away into turn 1. And let's hope that the drivers can all make it through the first lap safely, and we can have a nice fair race. Alex Rosetta then with a little launch ahead, and it's down to Willem to block the advances of 4th place Mediri coming through. He's already level with Willem, but Willem with the inside line. He'll try and cut off the nose here safely if possible of the forthcoming Mediri. Lazzaro down into 4th or possibly 5th as Sorrow goes through as well, and cars are all over the place going through, but it's Willem down into that into I think 3rd now, with Lazzaro down into 4th, and he's losing out, possibly about to go down into 5th position. He's very wide in the blue and yellow. BMW is Lazzaro as the race order gets a little bit mixed up as we start this first lap, but be patient, we'll catch up. It's Rosetta I think it's Mediri in second at the moment, as cars are left and right of track. This then, Willem challenging for the lead of the race already, and very early, getting a good exit out of the Saint-Baume corner, turn 7 on a long Mistral straight. The slipstream not as affected with the rain, but of course it's much better if you can see where you're going, and that will help the lead most driver in any given situation here. The lack of spray in front of them, you can already see Willem getting himself away here from Rosetta, and Rosetta has a big job to do, not least so did Mediri and Sorrow, who are side by side once again and going through the Bendor, heading into the Bendor corner now. Very difficult to navigate your way around there as far as possible. Looks like we've had a lot of action further back in the grid as well, but we will keep an eye on what's happening here. This is on board with Sauer, who has allowed Danhausen to get in front of him. Car number 11, Danhausen in the solo Lamborghini in the field. Yeah, we lost the Bentley, didn't we? It was the Bentley that ended up missing from the race previously. I think that was Corso. But Danhausen holding off now Verweyen in the red BMW. And just strolling up the field here. We've got Matteo Lautaro down into 6th position. Danhausen just behind him, as the Glitch Motorsport drivers getting very, very close to one another in 4th, 5th and 6th. Looks like Sorrow has got himself ahead of Rosetta on the previous lap as well, so Rosetta not enjoying the rain here, but it has mixed up the order significantly from the sprint race. And who says that a sprint race just guarantees you more of the same in the feature, because this change of conditions has absolutely thrown the order book out the window, as Willem is now back in the lead, as he was at the start of this championship. He was absolutely dominant for the first race, and any neutrals in the field would have been dreading his pace difference through there, but he's stretching the lead at the moment, and it will really help him to not have that spray all over his windscreen. Making a move then is Mediri. I think that's Mediri moving past Rosetta, or was it Ferry, as they go through. It is Ferry from behind Mediri, ahead of Lautaro. I think that looks like it's Danhausen's got ahead of Lautaro as well. So it's really not favouring both Lautaro and Rosetta, as Lautaro makes a speculative move, and there's a lot of contact as he's left hung out in the middle of the circuit, pointing at 90 degrees, just avoids his teammate as he tries to avoid contact as best as possible. This is Lenevsky and Parks next to each other, but Lautaro from 6th on the grid, 6th in the field at that point, now dropping all the way down to behind his teammate Parks into 13th or 14th position. It looks like Lenevsky has got ahead of Parks, in fact. This is then Burnett versus Martinelli. Martinelli just getting ahead through the final 2 corners, and Burnett trying to get himself back into the position that belonged to him earlier. So that 9th position, this is what they're fighting over at the moment. Lenevsky, Parks, Lautaro, the 3 behind them, who have just tried to avoid contact. It's Sauer and Verweyen who are in matching liveries here for Eiffel Racing in the 7th and 8th position. Willem, Sorrow, Rosetta, your current order. Rosetta dropping down to 3rd position in the rain. And then we see Burnett versus Martinelli continuing. Burnett looking for a wide entry for a nice early throttle application, but almost tripping over Martinelli and his BMW going through. Looking about equitable on the way out of the Saint-Baume turn 7. And then the long Mistral straight comes next. It looks like it's the BMW with a couple of clicks more here in overall speed. In VMAX, there might be a move going on ahead here between the 2 Eiffel Racing cars of Sauer and Verweyen. Looks like Sauer's got ahead here. So Sauer up, is it into that 7th position? Team Glitch are 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. The black and yellow cars, of course, split between the main team and the academy team. This is Nicolo Sorrow Sorry, this is Peter William at the front of the field. Soro has the fastest lap, but it is William in the lead, just ahead here of the car we ride on board with, Nicolo Soro. He's actually the academy driver, leading the rest of his teammates at the moment and loving it in the rain right now. Marked as a rookie in our championship, and that is, I think that was Burnett getting it wrong. And for the second time this evening in successive sessions, he's wide and off the racetrack onto that high grip stripy surface. Slipping down then to 13th, 14th, 15th position. Sorry, 14th position for Burnett. We're down at the tail of the field with Glitch. Christian Madiri down into 16th, so obviously suffering a bit of an accident through the previous run, as Mikhail in the Scuderia Ferrari colours is in 15th position. And down in the order, still the rain falling very heavily here. Just scrolling back through the field then, that's Martinelli in the number 98, looking for an opportunity past newcomer Zafiratos. Lautaro unable to get past his teammate here, and he'd be dying for that dry weather to arrive as soon as possible. But very little confidence, Lautaro on traction coming out of the slower corners, it seems. And just no visibility for Danhausen heading into Sanya. That's a scary situation to be in. Just trying to put the pressure here on Madiri, possibly forced into a lunge here by the difference in speed. But yeah, asking too much of the car to stay steady and stable. Danhausen though in 6th position, he's got his teammate Sauer behind, although in a different manufacturer car. It's Willem, Soro, Rosetta at the head of our field. We're watching the battle for 5th position. Riding on board 6th place, Danhausen chasing Madiri, and we are 10 minutes in to, well, just under 10 minutes into our race. 60-minute race here, and we're expecting the dry weather to come around the halfway point. And here is the dive from Lautaro. Oh dear me, his teammate won't thank him for that, as Lautaro tries to get through past his teammate Parks and drives them both off the circuit at very slow speed. Looks quite clumsy between the two of them. Lautaro definitely feeling like he has the pace here, but not really proving it just yet in the rain, as Lenevsky has got a 5-second penalty for an unknown infraction at this point. May just be track limits, that 5-second penalty, and we'll wait to get confirmation on that. But his 9th place under threat then after picking up that penalty. Here he is, car number 70, Ilyusha Lenevsky in 9th place for now, but Lautaro has picked up a 5-second penalty, and I wonder, was that for forcing another driver off the track? It won't have been his team that got in touch and complained. That is the live stewarding in action. So I wonder if that is having basically driven another car, steered them towards the outside of the circuit perhaps. Again, I will await confirmation on that, but Lautaro is in 10th at the moment. Okay, so Lautaro, it was contact with 2 other cars before. I think possibly the early laps where he was at 90 degrees to the racing track around sector 3 and trying to make his way back onto the circuit safely. Drive through for Martinelli as well, and mistakes piling up now through the grid, through the minor placings of the grid at least, because of these difficult conditions that the drivers are trying to contend with. Oh wow, super late into the brakes there for Parks. That was an instruction, I'm told, by the race team to give the place back for Lautaro to Parks, but slightly unexpected point there perhaps for Parks, who found himself careering into empty space. So we're pleased about that he managed to get through at least. Willem leads though, and we're riding with Ferry here for the Glitch team. I think that's Glitch Academy for Ferry in 4th position, chasing his dominant championship leading teammate here at Alex Rosetta. However, this has not been the start of the feature race that Rosetta would hope for. He picked up maximum points so far this evening, but the rain has not been his friend. So he'll be trying to keep an eye on how big that gap to Willem has got to, because he had the pace for the most part over Willem in the sprint race, although I feel like Willem in clear air might have the opportunity to go through. There's a change in order going on behind in the background there. I didn't quite catch who it was. Was that Madiri allowing the leaders through already, perhaps? Is he that far off the pace at this stage? But those penalties on the board for Lenevsky and Lautaro. Looks like the drive-through has been served by Martinelli. This is then Sauer coming on through past Madiri for 6th position. That is a slipstream pass to the outside, so he'll be wary that there might be a car to his inside. Asks quite a lot of the front axle. The rear of the car follows going through Sanya corner, and there is Sauer with a good gap in behind to Madiri. And now with Ferry trying to find a way through past Rosetta. Now, interesting situation for the team here. They need Rosetta to keep leading this race and leading the championship, but he's clearly slowing his teammate down here. Ferry does not feature in the top 11 in our championship at the moment, so he will presumably only be allowed to score ahead of Rosetta if he can get on terms with the leader Willem and try and slow him down. But it's Sorrow who's in 5th in the championship, up ahead of Rosetta. And Rosetta, for now at least, slower than his teammate behind in the wet conditions, but time will tell if that continues. We are looking at about 10 minutes time that the rain might stop, it seems, in terms of the forecast. So it may be that the track is going to start drying a little bit earlier than we thought, perhaps, but for now the rain still falls. The windscreen wipers are battling with the incoming spray and downcoming rain onto the windscreen. Really difficult to see how to make a move. There's a little bit of contact I can see on my alternate camera here right now. The tail of the field on the Ferraris having an issue. Scuderia Ferrari in the red colour scheme, but if there are any updates to bring you, we will bring them to you. As here is Ferry, Matteo Ferry chasing down Alex Rosetta. Did get a small slipstream advantage there, but the top speed very, very similar coming down Mistral Straight. Rosetta biding his time here. Is he just trying to preserve his tyres for the dry running? However, Willem, I fear, is far enough ahead here to have a tyre change in hand. I imagine drivers will still need to change tyres though as the track dries out. They'll be scrubbing these ones significantly, trying to fight for traction and grip. Very nice final corner there from Ferry. Rosetta keeping that speed up quite well though through the final turn 13 tonight, as it is in this configuration. And still no way through at the moment for Ferry versus Rosetta. Coming up behind is the incoming Danhausen in the Lamborghini, and he won't mind overtaking either of the glitch cars, I'm sure. So it's Ferry who now needs to start looking in his mirrors and defending, not making too many desperate overtake manoeuvres coming up. How well will this Lamborghini get through the tricky turns 6 and 7? Planted is Danhausen. Oh, he gives up a little bit of track position there to Ferry. He stretches away slightly. He'll get into the position where he starts to be able to have a nice double toe. At some point, you can see the two leaders on the track map are far away ahead of the rest of the field at this stage. Here is Ferry moving around in the mirrors of sprint race winner and championship leader Rosetta. who is defending. Different lines being deployed here by the two glitch drivers. Staying very obvious in the mirrors, or is it that Ferry is actually defending from Danhausen, I wonder? This is on the bonnet of the Lamborghini of Danhausen in the Eiffel colours. Very smooth looking on the Lamborghini. Nothing looking too desperate or difficult at the moment. There has been another, I think that's a drive-through issued for Mikhail down in 14th position. Might have been the incident I was referring to earlier. But this is Danhausen. Mediri also is 6th place for Glitch, and Sauer in the Eiffel colours just behind him in 7th. For Wayan and Lenevsky with a 5-second additional penalty to come. Parks ahead still of Lataro in 10th. And this is Burnett doing a little bit better than he did in the sprint race so far. P12 so far been the correct side of the white lines, I think. Back up towards the front as Ferry has probably the best run he's had so far on Rosetta. Stays to the outside, and well, he lifted off very early heading into Sanya. So clearly he's not feeling like he can make a challenge to Rosetta's 3rd place. You've got to feel like perhaps the team points would be best served if they can get ahead. But it is about the defence of Rosetta's championship lead as much as it is about individual results. For Sorrow, I wonder if Sorrow will be asked to slow if he can't pass Willem at the front. This is them. Still Ferry chasing Rosetta, with Danhausen just behind. Number 19 has passed Willem. We've missed the overtake for the lead, it seems. Or possibly, was it an off-track moment for Willem, who has dropped significantly down to 2nd place now. We're going to have a look and see if we can't find out what went down with Willem earlier on. I'd be surprised it was quite such an easy overtake. Yeah, it looks like an off-track moment heading through Sanya corner. Oh, it was actually, he spun the car. That's a 180. He's Jay turned it back to the right direction. But that's how Willem lost the lead, and he'll be kicking himself because for him now that means Sorrow is back in front of the race, and he's lost significant time there. So great replay from our broadcasting team. But Sorrow in P1 now. Willem in 2nd, still significantly ahead of Rosetta. Car number 17, you can see on the track map. Car 57 has maybe a 1.5-2 second kind of gap to the car in front at the moment. But the rain has stopped. I'm hearing, I can see windscreen wiper still running on Willem's car. He hasn't turned it off, but the rain no longer falling. So the track will now start to dry out. A little bit ahead of what we were expecting, about 9 minutes early. So the drivers who have struggled, the likes of Rosetta, possibly Lataro, will be very, very relieved to see that rain stop. And we'll be looking now. They're still trying to keep those tyres fresh at this point. I wonder if that will trigger a pit stop soon for the drivers. The window will be open shortly, I'm sure, for being fueled to the end. Sorrow, Willem, Rosetta, Ferry, Danhausen in short succession through the grid, but it's Rosetta, Ferry and Danhausen at the moment. This is Danhausen getting super close to Ferry. Oh, it looks like Willem has got a drive-through penalty. I haven't heard yet exactly what that's for. Possibly an unsafe rejoin, but down into second place with a drive-through, and it's going from fantastic down to pretty awful for Willem. That drive-through is going to cost him big time. So, like I say, we have live stewarding, and it is the penalty has been applied for an infraction seen by the stewards. I'm just seeing Paolo Tempera in the chat has just said he didn't know the race was so short. He obviously wasn't watching his race clock from earlier, and he hasn't been able to rejoin us here in the feature race. So something went wrong there with his race preparations. But Sorrow leads from Willem, who has a drive-through, and that will be disastrous for Willem. He was hoping to gain some points here, especially on Rosetta and Loris Madiri at the head of the field. Ferry does have third place in the championship at the moment, prior to the sprint race tonight. So Matteo Ferri, Full Glitch Academy, still very close behind his team leader. We see pit stops starting to happen soon. 37.5 minutes to run in our feature race. And this is then on board the car behind of Moritz Danhausen. This is the Lamborghini. Good traction on the Lambo. Danhausen has served his drive-through and has come out right in the middle of... Willem, no, he has not served his drive-through. I'm seeing a strange image of Rosetta's tail, which looks white and black, but I was incorrect there for a moment. This is Burnett off the circuit. Unfortunately, I spoke too soon earlier on, and in fact, I think he's just quit out, Burnett, or he's reset to the pits, but he's gone from our tower. Willem, second place. They're drifting through the first sector through turn 5. He still has to serve his drive-through very soon. That will bring him back probably behind this battle, and he'll have a lot of work to do in the remaining half of the race to recover this one. He did have a decent lead over 3rd, 4th and 5th, but I think after the drive-through that'll be taken away. A close battle between Loris Madiri, who is 2nd in the championship, and Sauer, I think 6th and 7th, pretty close together as they head towards Sanya. Closer than perhaps this battle right now. Sorrow leads us away though in car number 19, and this is Lemevsky. He has a 5-second penalty, and so does Lautaro, who is now got at least on track ahead of his teammate Parks. The drive is really struggling to keep the cars to the correct side of the racetrack through these long, fast right-handers. Clearly, the tyres are giving up before the track grips up, and the dry line is bringing them the kind of grip that they need. So through the double de Bose goes Parks. Rosetta picks up the fastest lap. So it's amazing how quickly the conditions have come to Rosetta. Sauer is in the pits. And this will be the first of our scheduled pit stops then from Sauer. I thought perhaps that was our erstwhile leader Willem coming in for his drive-through, but it's not. It's his teammate coming in for his scheduled stop. So it looks it's possibly a little on the early side. But and in fact he overshot his pit markings as well. Had to reverse slightly. That'll cost him seconds in that position, but he'll be hoping to get to the end of the race if he can at that point. But the track is damp officially. It is warming up. It is drying up. But the driver's still very wary. Zafiratos in 12th is trying to make the best of the conditions right now. Sora leads from Willem and Rosetta, who now has the fastest lap. As soon as the track started to dry, Rosetta's speed improved. followed by his teammates Ferry and Danhausen in 5th. We are waiting for Willem's drive-through to come as well. And we're still sitting with Sauer, waiting for this first scheduled pit stop to get done with. And he rejoins then in 12th position. We've just got some technical issues at the moment, so apologies for that, but we'll be back to action as soon as possible. Just checking on the tyres, and that was a pit in marker board being wiped out there. This is Willem. Is he pitting? He's gone into the right-hand lane, so he's actually pitting for his pit stop. Is he? No, he's just moving around in the lanes. Okay, let's see what Willem decides to do. He's keeping us guessing here. If he's trying to find the straightest line through the pit lane, he is. I think he's going to just serve the drive-through at this stage. So a little bit early, but Rosetta and Ferry are promoted. Danhausen, not yet. So, okay, now we have got a further penalty. Is this for... oh, okay. Unfortunately, that was the end of the race then for Willem, who has disappeared from us. He's got too many penalties, it seems, to keep going. But let's join Verweyen versus Lanevski. It was side by side. Some quite confusing pit lane body language going on there from Willem. But unfortunately, he's gone. We're down to 13. So Sorrow, Rosetta and Ferry will continue to battle out the podium positions. Danhausen is right there with them. But Verweyen versus Lanevski looks to be very, very interesting battle right now, with Lanevski's green and pink Ferrari trying to resist the tow from Verweyen's BMW. And this is Sauer, who has made his scheduled pit stop. I think he's now on dry tyres on a damp track and hoping to be the first driver, hoping to be the one making the hero decision to pit first. It could come back to bite him though, this decision. We shall see. So Sauer, 12th place, and if he suddenly starts getting fastest laps, we will know he's made the right decision, the right call. Lautaro with a drive-through to serve. Lanevski with a 5-second additional penalty to be applied as well. Once those are applied, or served, we will go back to knowing exactly where our grid tower stands. Sorrow, fastest lap at the moment from Rosetta, and Sorrow's gap looking at around 4 seconds or thereabouts, I think. Here we're back with Verweyen challenging. Lanevski's got a good drive out of the final corner, and he'll try and claim the inside line here against car number 70. Of course, if 70 can leave a car's width at the apex, he'll have the inside line for turn 2, and he does. But a nice bit of switchback driving going on here from Verweyen in the BMW, and he's got the inside line going on into turn 3. But late on the brakes is Lanevski. Too late on the brakes perhaps, as he tries to claim the racetrack. He's actually given up the position, unfortunately for him. So outbrakes himself into turn 3 and 4, and Verweyen silky smooth and moves his way through, which is very nice for him in the BMW. And Ilyusha Lanevski will have to try and find a way back through if possible. Just hitting the halfway mark on our race, and we have a damp track, dry conditions, no more rain falling or forecast for the remainder of our race, but it's all about when the drivers think it's dry enough to fit those dry tyres. Keeping an eye on a possible fastest lap coming from Sauer. Lanevski closes right in on the tail of Verweyen, but doesn't go for the move this time. Just decides it's better to apply the pressure and wait and be patient. Perhaps also thinking about that 5-second penalty on his car. Lautaro's drive-through has been served, and he's back to a 5-second penalty now, I believe, or that drive-through has been cancelled. We shall see. But he's in 10th place. Verweyen, some distance from the apex there. Tyres far from their best in these conditions. Still the track giving up a lot of grip with puddles and a lot of spray still. And Verweijen coming on into the pits, it seems, into the pit lane. And that releases Lanevski to go on through. So Verweijen, one of the Eiffel Racing team, into the pits. As we see where Ferry is relative to Rosetta. Well, he's still right behind Rosetta, but Danhausen has not been able to get any closer to Ferry for the final step on the podium. Doesn't look like Rosetta is closing in on his teammate yet. So that one fastest lap he managed didn't last for very long. Sorrow reclaimed it. And he's just indicating to his team that today perhaps could be Nicola Sorrow's day. So the gap just opening slightly here, Ferry to Rosetta in front. You can see the dry line appearing on the racetrack. A couple of drivers in the pits at the moment. And this is Sauer then, fitted those dry tyres, running over the puddles still. That's not going to help him. We've got to cross the standing water at some point. And into the pits is Mattia Lautaro. He is in 10th right now, waiting for his pit stop minimum time to be finished. And our race leader, Nicola Sorrow, pits fairly early. Will Rosetta follow him in? Doesn't look like it. And neither will Ferry nor Danhausen. So Sorrow has pitted. He will then get his fuel in for the end of the race. Remember, Sauer, we're wondering whether he'll get his car to the end because he stopped so early, with around 36-37 minutes to go in the race with his stop. This is Danhausen in the Lamborghini Huracan. Still lots of counter steer going on, especially mid corner for Danhausen. So the car not quite where he wants it. But in third at the moment, as Sorrow has come out of the pits into 5th position behind this battle, but I think with a reasonable amount of clear air in front of him. He has, I think, Mediri's car in front, but Mediri will pit, so that means that Sorrow will be released as soon as the 5 drivers in front of him go in. 26 minutes to go now. Remember, the drivers have to make a pit stop, and it will be a minimum of 25 seconds served, possibly 30 if they change tyres. Sorrow just feeling for grip here now. This is a really important part of his race. It's looking good as the tyres are starting to heat up. Track temperature now 28 degrees. We've gone from damp to greasy, the official designation of the track conditions. Moves across to the left, nice and slowly down the Mistral straight to have the best angle into Sanya, and Rosetta pits now. I wonder if his teammates will come in. Yes, Ferry in, Danhausen in as well. Looks like this is the most popular lap to pit, as Mediri, I think, is pitting behind them. And we'll see if Parks comes in as well, but that means that Sorrow should get all of these drivers now and have tyres up to temperature. We'll see if there's any difference in the order after the pit stops. That should indicate to us if anyone's changed tyres. Or anyone hasn't changed tyres, for instance. But yeah, we look like we are expecting tyre changes for everybody, as the conditions have, of course, changed significantly. There is one of the BMWs coming through. Was that Parks coming through past the top 4? And we'll keep an eye on the right-hand side of the screen and see if we see Sorrow come on through. That looks like Sorrow passing now. So there is your leader back in the top spot. This is Rosetta and Ferry coming out of the pits. Danhausen, exactly as they entered. Very little by way of difference there on the on the in and out laps, in and out procedures of the pit lane. Lenevsky trying to hold off, I think that is Mikhail, or is it Verwayen? Looks like Verwayen, but peeling off into the pits goes Lenevsky. So Verwayen will be promoted up to P7. Parks has the lead of the race, still on his tyres he started the race with. So Parks will be either past this lap by Sorrow, or will be coming in, I'm sure, for a very short amount of fuel and a good amount of tyres there. Yeah, in is Parks into the pits, I believe. So looks like Nicola Sorrow, car number 19, will have the lead of the race shortly. Looks like our Matteo Lautaro supporting audience member getting their temp disappeared on us, whereas Lautaro's pace did likewise. But hopefully whoever's left with us is enjoying this battle. Sorrow, Rosetta, Ferry. Here is Parks then coming in. I must have been mistaken. It was Lautaro who's in the pits, his teammate. So Sorrow will pass now, coming through the final corner. Now is Sorrow, and then you can see on board Ferry, you can see Rosetta just ahead. "22.5 minutes left to run of our feature race. 2 races to go after this one in the championship in the next 2 weeks. We'll be going to Spa and to the Nürburgring. I'm not sure whether we're at the GP circuit or the Nordschleife, but I think it's going to be the GP circuit. We have Loris Mediri, who was second prior to tonight. He was second in the championship to Rosetta. So the order of the championship is going to be very much jumbled up. Sorrow was 5th going into this one, behind Danhausen. I think Sorrow's going to take a big step forward if he can secure this win tonight. I was expecting to see Willem jump through the order, but that's not on the cards any longer. I don't actually see Ferry on my championship standings, so not quite sure why that is. But here is here is Mediri chasing Danhausen. Good top speed here. You can see the track is now virtually completely dry. Danhausen holds the inside line going into Sanya. It wasn't quite as easy as it looked like it was going to be, and a drive-through has been awarded to Danhausen. Has it on the tower? I can see drive-through awarded to Danhausen. Is that for track limits, perhaps, or it is track limits abuse for Danhausen? So that would have been successive warnings he would have received prior to that one. He won't be happy in the cockpit, and is currently in 4th in the race, 4th in the championship. But that's going to change very suddenly for him. Sorrow, though, in the lead of the race. He's got a good, strong lead coming towards the end of the start-finish straight, as Rosetta was just passing the start-finish line. So we'll keep an eye on the gap between the two of them, the remaining 20 minutes. Rosetta, though, finishing ahead of Loris Mediri and Matteo Ferri. I don't think he'll mind giving up a win at this point to Sorrow, but maybe there will be a team order later on. We shall see on that front. So this is Sauer, who has been given a drive-through as well. It has all gone wrong for Eiffel Racing in the prior couple of laps. 2 drive-through penalties for the 2 drivers. And of course, Sauer was the first to pit as well. So it might help him on his fuel economy a little bit, running through the pits at pit lane limit, speed limit. Loris Mediri behind Danhausen, but with a drive-through to serve for the Lamborghini in front. Should be a dominant Glitch Motorsport performance once again, just like it was in round 2 of the championship. Here he is then, Mediri. That's a good overspeed. He's got good track position, and Danhausen understandably not fighting it too hard here. And a big apex through Sanya. He needs to be wary of. So Mediri promoted to 4th, Danhausen down to 5th prior to his penalty to be served. So that should bring the weigh-in up into 5th, Park possibly to 6th. But I imagine Danhausen will come out ahead of his teammate Sauer to be 7th and 8th positions. Then it's Zafiratos in 9th, Lautaro in 10th. Lautaro, car 58, hasn't really moved forward as fast as you might expect him to, given his pace earlier on. Here he is, with Mediri. Is that Christian Mediri? He's with no. Oh dear me! That was quite a lot of rubbing between the racers. That was Christian Mediri he was trying to pass, and a lot of contact going into Sanya. It's a very wide track. There's no need for that between those two drivers. Of course, we only saw it from Lautaro's point of view, so it could have been that Mediri was moving around. We shall see from a different camera angle, possibly. Here we go. Let's try and see what happened to Christian Mediri. Maybe from outboard slightly. He's got the inside line. He's taken the back to the racing line on the left side, left of the screen. Watch him relative to that white line, but no, a clear and obvious hit from Lautaro. I'm sure that was accidental, but Lautaro has turned Christian Mediri round, and I don't think the stewards will take kindly to that one. We shall see if the decision is awarded against Lautaro, but Christian Mediri, he won't care because he's down in 13th position. He was doing so well earlier on, and that he won't enjoy that one at all. There's a red flag flying, but it's just a fan flag flying in the grandstand there at the start-finish straight. Christian Mediri is struggling to hang on to the car. I wonder if there's damage on the vehicle that he's trying to drive around and discover how to get the car through the corners now fresh. We shall see. I think our stewards are paying quite careful attention to the Lautaro Mediri incident. Looks like there's going to be a hefty penalty dished out as Lenevsky has a look down the inside. That's a 15-second penalty. That is a lot to pay for Lautaro, but unfortunately it won't promote Mediri. But the stewards can't put cars back in front of others. That is Lautaro, who was sideways for a moment there. I'm quite sure, and he's quit. Okay, he's decided that he's not happy with that decision, and he's left the server. So we're down to 12. Here is Lenevsky dealing with Mikhail's cone spitting from the back of the diffuser. Mikhail looks like he's playing Mario Kart, throwing things out from behind the car there as Lenevsky is driving over the cones, and they're trying to find some room. They both run wide on the exit, but to within tolerance, and Lenevsky finds a way through past Mikhail, but a fairly comical moment there for a moment in our race. We've got 15 minutes to go, so drivers getting a little bit desperate now to get the most out of these remaining few laps. Fully green and dry track, of course. This is Ilyusha Nenevsky. And who has he got just in front of him? It's not Zafiratos, is it? This is actually Christian Mediri, I believe, who is being lapped here at car 69. He's very slow, unfortunately for him. This is Lapuka Mikhail, recovering after whatever just went down on the Mistral straight. It's Sorrow from Rosetta still out in front. And here he is, passing across the start-finish line once again. 14 minutes, 40 to go. And he's got a significant lead here over his teammate Rosetta. And should be fairly smooth sailing for him. Very little in the way of traffic, maybe 2 or 3 cars to pass before the end of the race for Sorrow. But after what went down in Kailami, none of the drivers will be assuming anything until the end of the race, after we've seen back markers get involved accidentally into race leaders situations. But Alex Rosetta currently sitting second place to Ferry we ride on board with. Rosetta has the fastest lap and the championship lead. He has gone in his round 1 third position, round 2 first, round 3 second, and might be about to convert a 4th podium out of 4 races. We shall see if it comes to that. The rain didn't help Rosetta today, but certainly seems to be a lot better in the dry around this Paul Ricard circuit. So we're down to 12. We started proceedings tonight with, I think, 17 drivers. So they haven't taken kindly to some of those incidents. I think I can see the stewards just looking into the Lenevsky and Mikhail incident, just having a replay on that. I think given that Lenevsky got through past Mikhail cleanly in the end, I think it's okay, but it may be that they decided that Mikhail was weaving. I'm hearing that we might be allowing exceptions for entertainment value, possibly without Vassal, but Rosetta is in second right now, car number 17. Danhausen was demoted down to 6th, but he's got ahead of Parks. Came out ahead or managed to make the overtake. So Danhausen will still come home with points today, despite a drive-through. So be pleased about that. For some reason, looks like the Paul Ricard circuit has spread the field out quite considerably. Rosetta just passing a back, Sorrow passing a back marker right now. It's one of the Ferraris in red. It's either Mikhail or it's, well, I was going to say, well, it's certainly not Burnett, so it must be Mikhail, I think, because Burnett disappeared on us. So it is Rosetta with the fastest lap again. Sorrow's best at 1:54.862, which was his last lap, so he's building the speed as well. Needs to be careful not to push too hard in the closing stages here. We just joined newcomer Zafiratos here in 9th position, actually looking at 8th place Sauer in front of him. So Andrei Zafiratos, representing France, I believe, in the Porsche. It's got the tricolore colours on the car as well. Representing himself very well tonight, it seems. Debuting with us, I think, here, Zafiratos in season 12. Showing well, 1:57, his best lap so far. It's all about consistency through those wet conditions. Being here when it matters. The wind is moving around considerably. It has done a full 180 since the start of this feature race. It is now a westerly wind. See Sauer moving around in the acceleration phase of the corner. And Zafiratos enjoying a slightly better grip at this point. We look to try and get some benefit of the slipstream from the Ferrari of Sauer in front. But you won't find it to the right hand side of the track if the guy in front is on the left side of the track, so perhaps not trying to gain too much there. Just checking in on Sorrow and Rosetta, with Ferry passing that same Ferrari. Whoa, getting close there. Passing the back marker, almost turned into, I think that was Mikhail, almost turned into him as they're passing. They breathe a sigh of relief to be passed through. With just under 10 minutes to go, I think Nicola Sorrow only has a maximum of one more car to lap before the end of his race. That's Lepuka Mikhail then. His best 2-minute flat, 0.6. So obviously the reason why he's down in 11th, but could bring it home to try and get points at the end of today, if possible. With so many people either disconnecting for whatever reason. That was a pass Was that a pass of Mediri by Rosetta, I think? So it wasn't a pass for position. That was car 69, Mediri with the battle-scarred front end of the BMW, just allowing his teammates through. He's a long old way away from scoring tonight and coming home on the lead lap at least. Loris Mediri then second in our championship, car number 24, currently running 4th position. So I haven't seen any sign of team orders among Glitch at the moment, because effectively there's no real battle going on between Glitch and anybody else. It's Glitch all the way in the top 4. Verwayne is showing very well today. He was the backmarker that I was discussing earlier that had an incident in the first race of the season in Kailami, and he's actually doing very, very well indeed here to try and bring the car home in 5th. That would be his best result of the season so far. So has smartened up quite a bit, and it's calmed somewhat, I think, from the first race. Moritz Danhausen may be asking his team to let him take the position on Verwayne, because Danhausen has the higher championship position, but he is the closest non-glitch driver in the championship to the head of the field. It would be hard to ask Verwayne to move aside though after his performance so far tonight. So, just to confirm, it is still Soru in the lead from Rosetta and Ferry and Mediri, Loris Mediri, that is. So just under 7 minutes to go. Danhausen trying to get as close as possible to Verwayne and make a move if he can, or at least convince the team that he's quicker. That will be his objective right now. Currently, the Eiffel Racing team positioned in 5th, 6th and 8th. So on any other day that would feel like a good result for the team, but with Glitch in the top 4 positions, they'll probably come away feeling a little bit disappointed, especially as Willem was fighting for the lead earlier on and came second in the sprint. I'm keeping my eye on the driver chat room to see if any of our early retirees have anything to say that I can broadcast anyway, and nothing so far. So they've obviously decided to go and calm down somewhere, I think, and reset. But hopefully we will see them back in races 5 and 6 of the championship in the next 2 weeks. Same place, of course, same time, a little bit earlier for the feature race. Here is Danhausen then. I think there may have been an instruction from Verwayne to release him. Looks like it's more than just a slipstream in difference. Verwayne losing the minimum time possible, but Danhausen with a fair amount of confidence to put the tail ahead of Verwayne and claiming that 5th position then. Verwayne will not enjoy that, but he'll be pleased at least to be able to be in a position where he can gift points to his teammate. Says something to your team management, I think, after all, if you can do that. Parks is still showing well in 7th. It looks like any threat to that position has gone. We may have a close battle going on for 3rd, I think, at the moment, perhaps between Ferry and Mediri. And then this position 11, this is Mikhail, who is coming, he's moving aside, Mikhail, and giving the position up on the circuit. So let's see what happened to Mikhail that time through. Was he instructed to release the car, to give the blue flag perhaps? So here he is. I wonder if that was a disconnection, was it temporarily, or a mechanical at home on his racing rig. But yeah, it looks like he lost all throttle for a moment. We'll see if he gets back into anything like racing speed. Hopefully he can still try and get some points tonight. But currently 10th place is Lenevsky, 9th is Zafiratos. Looks like Mikhail is going very slowly. Has he run out of fuel? Is this a low fuel run here? Low fuel mode for Mikhail, as he's been passed by Parks. I don't know. we're confused here about what's happening to Mikhail. There's still 3 minutes to go, and he is out for a Sunday drive, it seems, around here. Almost practice conditions. Maybe that was a lick of pace coming back to the car. I think he may have suffered a mechanical on his throttle or something on his rig at home. But whatever, seems to be back to racing speed now. Taking a break for a minute, perhaps there was Mikhail. Here is Sora then. Sorry, this is Ferry, and getting a lot of attention from Loris Madiri behind him. So possibly the closest battle on the grid at the moment is between these two glitch teammates for the final podium position. You can see the cars going right down into first gear to get through Virage de Camp, and trying to get away from the corner, getting huge oversteer. And has lost a little bit of time to his teammate front Ferry as a result. Looks like Sorrow about to lap his final car here as well. This is the Lenevsky Ferrari he needs to pass. Lenevsky peels across to the outside of the circuit, and that will help Nicola Sorrow breathe a big sigh of relief. You can see that that's virtually his the worst parts of his race run now. So looks like he will go on to his final lap now, as there is insufficient time left to cross the line a second time. 1 minute, 23, 22, 21 and 20 to go. And he crosses the line there to start what will be his final lap. Rosetta still has the fastest lap. I don't know that Sorrow will be greedily going for that fastest lap on this final run, but couldn't ask for better conditions if he wanted to. So he's got low enough fuel and good enough tyres to do that with. And Loris Madiri still chasing down Ferry, has caught him back again through the third section of the final lap, of the penultimate lap I should say. I don't know if we will see any of our riders cross the line shortly to finish their race, but we'll make sure we can on that triangle symbol on the track map for Nicola Sorrow and his race win. It was very wide from Madiri. This is his last opportunity here really to try and make a move on Ferry. So I think Ferry might have the edge. Top speed building to 87 to 88. KPH maxing out there. And this is Nicola Sorrow's final lap then, final trip through the Bendor corner. A very, very good performance it has been from Nicola Sorrow. He will leapfrog up from 5th place in the championship, no doubt, as a result of this, and could feature in the top 3. But for now, it is all about him securing the win here in Paul Ricard. He's going to cross the line, Nicola Sorrow, to win in Paul Ricard, the French 1 hour feature race here at in our Sim Racing Academy. Season 12, Rosetta will come through to pick up second place, and Ferry will finish ahead of Madiri, although it might be a photo finish as they come towards the line. Ferry ahead of Madiri, Loris Madiri, and then some distance back will be Danhausen. Well, he's a long way back, isn't he? I can't see where he is. There he is, coming through Bendor Corner, and it wasn't even close, but that's by virtue of the fact that he had a drive-through at that point, so that is why he's so much further back. But he will finish with Verweyen in the background. Let's see what we need to see on the replay here. That was Verweyen's last few seconds. He was close, wasn't he? So something has happened to Danhausen. Has Danhausen given the place back? We're trying to find out. As we come through, we're just trying to find out what happened. But it is Sorrow, Rosetta, Ferry and Madiri, Danhausen, Verweyen, Parks and Sauer. Zafiratos debuting with us and scoring 9th position, followed by Ilyusha Lanevsky in 10th, another debutant with us, and then Mikhail and Christian Madiri finishing 11th and 12th. 12 finishes from 17 starters tonight. A couple of really good races, and I hope you've enjoyed it watching with us. Don't forget to tune in next week, same time, 8 p.m. CEST. On Wednesday night for the penultimate round of the championship at Spa. But for now, I've been Webbo, this has been Sim Racing Academy, and we will catch you on the next race day.